Thanks.
Of course. Can you see my screen okay?
Yes.
Yeah, you can see the presentation?
Yes.
All right, here we go. We're gonna get back up and just keep going here. Good morning, everyone. My name is Dale Shadbejian. I'm a SCORE subject matter expert. Um, if you're not familiar with SCORE, SCORE is a really great group, as Susan mentioned, so it stands for Service Corps of Retired Entrepreneurs. I'm not retired, but I like to volunteer my time. We're a group of people. We really just want to help anyone in their business, no matter if they want to start one or improve it. I've been in business for 20 years. I still get help periodically, several times a year. It's a really great organization. It doesn't cost anything to you. You can sign up, get an hour of help, you know, every month or 1 hour at all or 20 minutes call, whatever. I'm not a full-blown mentor, so you would get assigned a mentor who can kind of understand what you're doing and then or where you want to go, what your issues are, challenges, and then they would call someone like me if we want to talk about digital marketing. So we're going to talk about Google My Business today, but I have long time experience with web design, many types of digital marketing, from social media to SEO, and of course, Google My Business. And I've just kind of been around the block a few times, so I'm happy to help you wherever you're needing help. I am a digital strategist for Cape and Plymouth Business Media. I own other businesses. I do pretty much all of my own marketing. I do have a team of people that help. Um, but today we're going to help you so we're going to start really high level and just, I really want you to grasp some concepts. And as Susan mentioned, this is being recorded. I would encourage you to just kind of listen, maybe take some notes or maybe jot down some times. If I hit a point where you're like, ooh, this is something I really need to learn more about, write the time down. You can go back to the recording and kind of dig into it. Kind of need you to keep up a little bit and understand the concepts. Once you understand the concepts of Google and Google My Business and how people search, that's when you can really either master it and get really good at it and get results, or maybe you decide at some point, this isn't for me. I want to hire someone, but knowing enough about what the capabilities are, what some of the challenges can be, that's going to really empower you to make good hiring decisions and good management decisions if you end up hiring someone to do this for you. So we're going to jump right into it now. And I apologize. I'm recovering from a nasty cold. I've got water, tea, tissues here. I'm going to do my best to get through this without sneezing and coughing. So if you could just forgive me in advance, that would be great. So let's go right into it. Um, I think we all know, I always bring this up in marketing. So if you have a product or a service that people are searching for, um, search engine optimization in Google My Business, especially for local businesses, is really going to be your place to go. Um, if you have a product that people don't know about, they won't know to search for, you're going to have a little bit more of a challenge with Google in generating business. But the upside is going to be, let's just say you're doing social media and someone decides that this service or this product, this cool thing that you have is for them. Um, a lot of people, a very high percentage, this study is all over the place. A very high percentage of people are going to Google your name, right? And you really want to control in that screen, and we'll go through this. You want to control what people find about your business. And your Google business listing is really the first line of defense. Um, they give you this platform where you can really kind of control what people see. And we'll get a little bit more into that. People who do find your Google business listing, there's a very high chance that they'll either call or visit in the same day. Okay. Um, you're going to hear me say, I'm going to go over some stats and figures throughout the presentation. And I always give kind of a, sort of a caveat, I guess, or something to think about is, just because, someone tells us we need to be doing something, it doesn't mean that we have to be doing it. You really want to think about your situation, your business, and make an educated decision. Is this something that, pertains to me? Do I need to worry about? And these numbers, they're numbers, right? So if it says 97% of people search for local business online. I don't know if that's right or not. We know it's a very high number, and that's all that really matters. Um, so as I mentioned, if you're here for the first time and you kind of know about Google My Business, but you don't know a ton, it's a free platform they give you as business owners so that you can appear in Google search. And really, 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 this is the only way you can show up in Google Maps. Um, we're not going to talk about Apple Maps so much today. That's a whole separate platform. Um, Apple Maps really run off of Yelp, and that's a different platform. I can answer questions about that later if you're interested. Um, Google My Business, like, so another thing I want to say is you have to have this if you want to appear in Google Maps. And Google Maps are great. Like I've been on the road for 3 days. I visited, I went with um, a longtime friend and client of mine to a cabinet company in Pennsylvania, and we're looking for stuff the whole way down, restaurants, things to do along the way, ultimately where we were going to go and stay, right? So these maps they're not just like people in our local area, they're people passing through, especially if you're on Cape Cod, people who are here for a weekend or a week or visiting, or your other places in Massachusetts, you've got people coming through. So this is really important. So one of the things I want to say about Google is I love Google and I dislike Google at the same time. They change their mind frequently. Um, I get questions like, why are they doing this? And it's like, I don't know. They're $1 billion company. Um, they come out with these things, they take them away, they change their mind. The thing you want to get your head around, like the most important thing is, I know we'll stay out of the politics of software and search and all these things, but at its core, Google wants to make money, and they make money by providing really good answers to people very quickly. So when you see a rule that you're like, that doesn't make any sense, somebody somewhere thought that was important to hold the integrity of Google. And I know that might be contradictory to some other things they do, but you really, really, really need to understand they've put their best effort forward into getting people to use their search because they make money on it. And they make money by the paid ads. Okay. So the basic premise is if you want to qualify for a business listing, you must make in-person contact with your customers during the hours that you say you're open on Google. Okay. And I know this is strange, right? So um, you might you might have a business, but you don't allow people to come to your business. And I'll show you some ways where you can hide your address and you say, I only go to my customers' location. You can kind of get away with that. They let us do it. But it's really important. You can't just get a PO box. You can kind of get away with like a UPS store mailbox. I've done that for some folks in the past that have worked. Um, you can definitely get away with like a co-working membership, someone that's got a front desk. You might have a mailbox, you might not be there, but there's an attendant and you put on your website, by appointment only. You can get away with that stuff. So I know that always raises a ton of questions. We'll get into that a little bit more later. Um, Moving on from that, like as I said before, when someone Googles your name, you really want your business listing to be the first thing that people see because you have control over it. Um, and we'll get into that a little bit more. And by optimizing that listing for certain keywords or key phrases, that's how you can be matched with people looking for services similar to yours. And we're going to start real high and we're going to dive real deep into that. So I've had people in the past, they don't know where Google My Business is. So so I've got an office at Cape Space in Hyannis. We've got an open membership. We kind of just go when we need to and, move around. It's a great setup. We've got a mailbox there. But if I'm searching for something that is local, I could be saying pizza near me or hotels near me or places to shop near me, whatever it is. I just happen to type in this business name. Um, um, More than likely, you'll have to type the business name in to see the Google business listing here. And I've drawn a red box with an arrow around it. This is what it looks like on a desktop and on a mobile phone to the right here. This is what it will look like on a mobile phone. It will change periodically over time. But you'll see here, it's going to give you a lot of really the most basic and most common information about that business. Reviews are huge, where it is, how to get there, phone number, suggest an edit. Like maybe it's a business that closed, but it's still showing as as open. You can kind of go in there and tell Google. They give you some mechanisms where the searcher can kind of go in and help keep the integrity of the listing and of the information that Google's providing. One thing I want to bring up, I don't know about you, but I do a lot through voice search now. If you're on an iPhone and you're asking Siri, um, we don't know for sure. There's a lot of information we don't know. We're not exactly sure that Siri is going to use a lot of information from Yelp, but we do know they aggregate information from all over the web. So as you're following the process that we're going to go through today, getting your Google business listing optimized, that is going to help you get found with Siri searches. And Apple Maps, if you're driving and you want to add a stop somewhere, for example, this will also help. But otherwise, if you're on other phone types, Google My Business is going to be a real primary source of information and results when you're using those voice commands. One reason why I do bring this up, if I fail to mention it later on, I'll mention again now. As you're kind of testing your listing, you're searching for things, try the voice searches out and see if you're coming up. We want to make sure that you're typing, from a desktop, from a mobile phone, and then using the voice, that you're coming up in all of these places. And I'm actually going to show you a little bit later how to do that. All right, so we've got all these listings out there. Why does one come up and another one doesn't? That's like a really common question, right? And the answer is nobody knows. I'm not even sure Google knows anymore. There's literally thousands. Of course, there's some engineers out there that know somewhere in a dark room who write the code that gives us the results. But there's really a lot of factors that will show that will be the reason why one listing is showing up and not another one. And I've been driven crazy by this. I'll do everything that Google says, and somebody with no information, no reviews, it doesn't even look like they're open, they appear before you. That is going to happen. Don't stress about that. I'll show you some ways we can kind of get around that. So as we look like, again, we're just building a concept here. Like, what is Google My Business? Why does one thing show up versus another? Like, what happens in the maps when I search? So there's a lot of things going on here that Google is going to look at. We don't know. So what companies do is they'll set up like a business profile. They'll take like 10 businesses and they'll set up like really controlled experiments. So in this business, we're gonna just put tons of content on the website. And on this business, we're gonna just get tons of links. And on this business, we're gonna get tons of reviews. And they do like literally hundreds of experiments. And they kind of came up with this sort of changes from year to year. But you're going to want to do all of these things. You're going to want to optimize your website so that you have content on your website. And I'm going to tell you, we're going to go through an exercise on like what is the right content to put here. You need links to your site. No matter what you do in Google, you need links or anywhere. And I'll show you how to get some backlinks, optimizing your business listing, which is obviously what we're going to focus on today. Getting reviews. I know getting reviews are a pain. I'm going to show you a little script today that we can try and get more reviews with. Behavioral, this is a big one. So I get clients that they like Google their business all day long and they're clicking on their competitors and they're doing this and doing that. A lot of times Google is building a profile about you. They know your device. Your device has a unique identifier. Your location can have a unique identifier, not always, but it's going to really do its best to try and build a profile about you. And I literally tell my clients, like, if you're Googling, painters, for example, painters Cape Cod, and you're clicking on your competition to check out what they're doing, you're actually helping them rank. Because Google's saying to itself, in theory, this website is really close to this key phrase. So you're going to actually hurt yourself if you're doing searches all day and clicking around. You're going to get totally different information a lot of times than I'm going to get. I could literally go down the street and get different information than what you get. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about creating profiles online, kind of creating some legitimacy outside of Google. And then, of course, personalization is a big one, based on your language, your location. Um, if I have a website that's really slow and I have a really bad connection, like I'm sitting at my kid's soccer game, or I'm in a bad area, I don't have great reception, I'm on my phone, um, you could actually have a less chance of coming up in those results. So they are going to change, right? And now I've totally confused everyone with this big mass of everything, but we're gonna go through a really kind of process um, to getting this done.
I have
And
one
this is
question.
why go ahead, I'm sorry.
Sorry, there's a question about whether it's different for a voice search.
Absolutely. So if you're, um, excuse me. So if you have an iPhone and you have a Google Fi or whatever they call their phone, and you have a Android phone, that phone's going to be programmed to use different services for search. You're going to get automatically different things. If we have two separate iPhones and we have different lives and we're doing different things, we may also get different search results. And I'm gonna so what I'm really gonna help you focus on is like, what do I have to do that's gonna help me everywhere? If that makes sense. I see we have a couple. Is there any other questions here we want to
Yeah.
address right now? Okay. All right. So some things you're gonna need. Whether you display your address to searchers or not, you're gonna have to have a physical address. More than likely, Google's gonna want to send you a postcard. And more than likely, if you're going to use a residential address, they're going to tell you no. Why is that? I get challenged by this all the time. It's not my rule. Google really wants to keep this to businesses. And, you know, we live in a culture where we can run a business out of our home. But according to Google, that's not technically a business. They want, they're thinking like law offices and pizza places and car shops and car dealerships, and this is their primary market, their primary focus. Um, if you're running a business from home and you don't have a commercial address, you may want to consider getting some type of membership or a commercial mailbox somewhere where you can get around that. You don't actually know if they're going to disallow you from using a residential address until you actually sign up. You're going to need a phone number. You're going to need a website, obviously a description of your business. Highly recommend you get some great photos. So if you're a work from home, you still need to identify some hours that you're open. And what that means, the reason why Google has that is like if someone wants directions to your place of business, um, Google will tell the person, hey, this is going to be closed by the time you get there, or they're not open today. And you can actually search for businesses that are open on that day. So you're going to need your hours as well. As well as I'm going to help you find some categories that you can classify yourself in Google that will help you get some more action in search in the maps when people are searching. I'm going to give you a second to digest that there.
One
All
quick,
right, so if you don't have a Google business listing yet, it's pretty easy. They changed the name. They changed the name of this and they changed the URL frequently. I just go to Google and I type in Google My Business or Google Business Listing. You're going to come to some type of homepage, and this is going to be true too if you want to manage your manage your profile. Whether you do sign in or manage now, it's going to be the same thing. Um, so your Google business listing or your Google business profile, you're going to be authorized to interact with this account by your Google login. So you need a Gmail or you need some type of Google Workspace, which is a business account. And when you go to Google My Business and you click to sign in, if you get this screen, that means that you don't have a listing that the current user you're logged in as has authorization to use. So if it's your first time and you see this, that's what you want. If you have a listing and you see this, it's because you probably logged in maybe with your personal account versus your work account, et cetera, et cetera. We can delegate access afterwards, which I can show you. But this is going to be the first screen if Google says, hey, I don't see anything here that you have access to. Um, Subsequently, if you have a business listing out there and you don't know what account it's under, you can also use this method because when you type in the business here, it's going to do a search of businesses. And if you're like, oh, that's my business, you can actually click request, and whatever account had set that up will get an email, and then you'll know which business has to go back in. So for the rest of us who are setting up an account, a business listing for the first time, it's going to say, hey, I would just want to make sure you don't have something already, and you're going to do a search. So I had a test here. I set up Dale's window washing, right? So when I was in high school, I wanted to start a window washing business. Don't ask me why. It just seemed like it was an easy job at the time. So we're gonna start Dale's window washing business. There were no results for it, so I'm gonna click next. The next thing that Google is gonna ask you is, all right, we want to help. Um, we know we're selling ads and we're making like tons of money on it, and that's great, but we actually really want to help you get found for free also. Tell us a little bit more about your business. What are you doing? So I want you to think like this is a really important step. Um, maybe I sell window washing equipment. Maybe I sell window washing supplies, or come up with this really cool eco-friendly product. Maybe I'm the actual person that goes and does the work, right? Um, so you want to think about here, the categories aren't going to match your business in for a lot of us exactly. So you want to pick the one that's closest, and then we can add secondary categories, and we can actually add custom services, and I'll show you how to do that. So you want to pick the one that's the closest. If you're a cabinet company, for example, and you do the installation and the remodeling of the kitchens, this is an example where you have to decide, like, do I want to be categorized as a remodeler, or do I want to be categorized as like a cabinet showroom? You have to pick one, unfortunately, and it's may not describe your business exactly. It's okay, we can change this. Just pick one and move on. Um, this is another really important screen. I mentioned if you have a business from home and you don't want your address shown, or maybe you've got a desk in, an office within another business, for example, um, and you don't want people to necessarily come and see you, you can say yes or no. Um, I'm sorry, go ahead. Do you have a question? No? All right. Um, this is really important. Do I want people to see my address or not? Yes or no? If you pick yes, you're going to have to put in a physical address. That's obvious, right? You want people to come and find us. Um, if you, no matter what you do, you're going to want to say that you serve customers outside your location. Otherwise, it's going to draw a really tight circle. And let's just say, let's say I'm well, Dale's window washing, right? Let's just say I only want to go 10 miles. I can set that here on this step, or I can say, nope, I don't go beyond my hometown of Dennis, or I'm an insurance agency. I don't go anywhere people have to come to my office if they want to meet with me. You could say, no, I do not travel to them. And this can be changed afterwards, so don't worry.
A question?
Go
Do
ahead.
you have an official business name or can you as business, doing business as?
Okay, so that's a great question. You want your business name to match as close as possible to your business license, whether it's an LLC incorporation or a an LLC. So let's just say let's say my LLC is, um Dale's Glass Enterprises, right? But I want my business name to be Dale's Window Washing, and I go to my bank and I get a DBA and blah blah blah. You just have to prove to Google that you own that business. So at some point, you could get challenged. You need to make sure whatever you tell Google your business name is, you have a business certificate, a utility bill like a cell phone lights, um, cable internet, something like that, a lease, it has to match that name pretty close. It doesn't have to be exact, right? But I can't put Dale's window washing, power washing, paint cleanup, and handyman services. If my company name is Dale's Window Washing, it's gonna be like, okay, that's not your business name. You're like just adding words in there so people can find you better. So I would recommend you can you do have a little artistic license to play with that name a little bit. Whatever you put in here, I would make sure you have documentation to back up that it matches somewhere. So if you do get a challenge, you can say, hey, this really is my business name. And I'm really great question. I'm happy you asked that. Okay, so if you serve people outside of your location, um, I've got a physical address. I serve people outside of my location. You can put in, I used to be able to do a radius. I don't know if you can do that anymore, but I know you can do, like, I can put in Cape Cod, I can put in Barnstable, Duke counties, I can put in New England, or I can put in individual towns. So it really lets you get granular. And what that means is if I put in, so I live in Dennisport, if I put in Harwich, Dennisport, Yarmouth, and I'm in Falmouth, and someone searches in Falmouth, and Google knows their location, I'm not going to show up because I'm not servicing people in that area. So just understand that. What do you want to show to customers? You're going to hear me say this several times. If Google gives you an opportunity to provide information to them, take advantage of it. If you don't have a phone, try and get a phone number. I used to be able to do a Google Voice number, which is a free service also provided by Google. I don't know if they let you do that anymore. Try and get a second line or a grasshopper number, something, something that's relatively inexpensive. I would recommend you do that anyways if you're going to have a business. But like a lot of realtors, some attorneys, a lot of people do use their personal cell phone. You can put that in here. Just keep in mind, you're going to get some spam on it, right? You're going to have salespeople calling you. You're going to have people finding you online. You're going to be getting calls. But I really recommend you put in a phone number. You put in a website. Um, some people, when they're starting out, they don't have a website. Some people put in a Facebook page, an Instagram page, their LinkedIn profile. Like, put something in there that customers can find and get more information. You can also create a free website with Google. It's like, okay, it's not fantastic. But I think most of us are going to have a website anyways. There's an option here if you want to create one. Now, as you're moving through this process, if you've made a mistake, you can go back or you can click finish. And honestly, at any point, you can make a change anyway, so it's not that huge a deal. So if you remember, we had that fork in the road in the beginning where I tell people if I have a physical location or not. If I say no, I don't have a physical location, maybe I'm working out of my home or got some e-commerce thing going on, it's still going to ask you for the areas you serve, right? Let's say you're a locksmith and you work out of your house. If you don't want to go to Falmouth, you don't put Falmouth in here, right? If you don't want to go to a Provincetown, you don't want to go to New York City, you don't put it in here, right? Pretty self-explanatory. It's going to ask you some other basic questions, same information, phone number, website, blah, blah, blah. No matter which path you choose, you're going to have to get a postcard to send to it's going to send it to the location where you put in your address for Google My Business. So make sure you can accept mail whatever address you use. Okay. If you're using like, my cousin's got an office, I'm just going to use their address, but hide it. Make sure that address is going to accept, Dale's Window Washing, 123 Main Street. Make sure the post office is going to deliver that postcard there. You're not going to get your listing verified and visible to people on the web. Sometimes you'll get lucky and they'll just ask you for a phone number. They'll call you with a code. That's hit or miss.
Dale, is there a way of putting a second number in, like an after hours number?
That's a great question. I don't believe so. No. What you would want to do in that situation is leave a message on your main number that says, if it's after hours, call this other number.
Yeah.
All right, so it's gonna give me two options at this point. Mail the postcard. Um, I sometimes I have to request a postcard 2 or 3 times. I don't know why we don't get them the first time a lot of times, so don't be discouraged by that. Um, in fact, I'm gonna say there will be several points of discouragement through this process. However, I feel strongly enough that no matter what it is, you got to get through it. I think you'd be hard pressed to show me a local business that shouldn't have a Google My Business profile, and there are exceptions, but this is going to be an important thing for your business. It's going to say, "Yay, good job! A postcard's coming, maybe." Um, Keep your eye out for it. Um, in that time where you're waiting for your postcard, right? I recommend you go and get the postcard right away, because once you do get the postcard, you're gonna get it's gonna unlock a whole new world of things that you'll do over and over forever. And I'll tell you why in a minute. Start thinking about um start clicking around Google My Business, and I'm gonna say this over and over. Click every tab. What can I add in here? Sometimes they'll add a new feature and they'll take it away. If they give you an opportunity to use something, definitely take advantage of it. Um, we're going to get a little bit into the weeds now. We're going to do some keyword research, right? So, one of the points of this is I do want to get found by customers who don't know about me. So we need to find out, what are they searching for, and how can I show Google that I relate to that service. Google My Business gives you a way to put posts, kind of like you would on like Facebook-ish. You don't really get followers when people don't comment. But when you do a post to Google My Business, the picture you use and the text you use, that should coincide with your service offerings and maybe some seasonality, like what's going on. So if I'm a landscaper, maybe, right now I'm talking about spring cleanups kind of thing. Because people might be searching for that. That's one more thing that Google will kind of correlate us to being closely aligned with. I recommend you go and fine tune your website, right? Go through all your social channels, go through your website, look at your online presence, Google your name. If people are going to be finding you, they're going to be going to your website. Make sure it's up to date. Make sure your services are there, your staff are updated, your hours are updated. You've got nice, clean pictures, right? This is getting someone to find out about you is half of the journey. The other half of the journey is giving them confidence so they pick up the phone or they send you an email or whatever it is to start to choose to work with you. Sorry, my ears are blocked here. Okay, have I lost anyone here, Susan? I see some chats and Q&As.
No, they're just helping out.
Okay, thank you. I need all the help I can get. So Google gives us a tool called and again, this will change. It's part of AdWords. It's called the Google Keyword Planner. This is really meant for advertising, right? So you want to create an AdWords account. You may have to actually set up a campaign, and they go back and forth on this. And there are other tools that will let you do Google keyword research. You can go through the process. It might ask for your credit card, and then you just pause the campaign right away. I can't figure out why some people have to do that and some don't. I don't have to do it for some reason. I can go to Google AdWords and it will say, start looking for, keywords right now. So I'm going to switch gears a little bit, and let's just say I'm a web designer, right? Or I'm a WordPress web designer. You want to start thinking, you want to think broad, but you really want to think about niching down also. So if you're a web designer, you don't want to, maybe you put into Google web design, right? And what's going to happen is I'm going to put in a phrase. I'm going to put in, if you can kind of see it in the middle of the screen here, it says keyword. Oops, I just want to highlight this really quick. I don't know if there's a highlight function here, but in this area right here, if you see, it says keyword planner, and then it's this left pane right here is going to be really important, right? So I don't know if you can see that really well, but I can click the targeting, and I just want people in Barnstable County, right? I don't want the whole US because, your niche, your business, there may be different phrases for it in different parts of the country. So I want to just do Barnstable County, um, which is going to get me a lot less volume, right? But it's going to be, the data is going to be a little better. And I'm going to say go back a year. And obviously I want English and I want to click Google. What's going to happen is when I click this button here, get ideas, it's going to give me actual information that people type into Google. And I find after doing this, I've been doing SEO. I think Google My Business has only been out, I think, for 8 or 9 years. But SEO, since the 2000s, I have found after hundreds of campaigns, what we think people are searching for may not always be what other people are searching for. So it's really important to know, um, you're going to see things like expert WordPress designer, best website designer, um, um, award-winning, cheap, affordable, free, um, affordable WordPress web designers for e-commerce near me. Like you're going to see like you think of the combinations and there's thousands and thousands of combinations. So what Google does is they give us the most popular ones, and you can sort this by how many searches or whether it's trending, and then I can look at competition. So your goal here, if you're on Cape Cod, I would say you want to find phrases that are 100 to 1,000 monthly searches is the sweet spot with medium to low competition. Depending on your industry, it may just be 10 or 10 to 100 searches, and you might have medium to high competition. But depending on your niche, high competition might not be 30 people, it might be 5 people, right? You want to think about being broad but also specific, right? So if I type in web design into Google, I might get some generic phrases back. But let's think about like, what does that actually mean? It could be Squarespace, it could be Wix, it could be Google Sites, it could be WordPress, it could be Shopify. Maybe I'm learning about web design. Maybe I want to take a class. Maybe, there's lots of maybes here. So really think about the word designer shows intent, right? And that's a big, 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 big word here. Um, that shows the intent to hire me as the designer, right? If I just use the word design, broad designer is a noun. I know it's a person that's going to link me closer to a service. So this is a really big concept to understand because we're going to take this and then we're going to create content on our website to show Google that I'm a WordPress web designer, or I'm a window washer, or I'm a divorce attorney, or whatever it may be.
Do you have to pay for the keywords?
No, no. So if you can set up Google AdWords and set a budget, and you'll automatically start showing up in Google Search and Google Maps. The problem with that is, let's say I do, you need a fairly significant budget, like at least $30 to $50 a day, which adds up real quick. The second you stop paying Google, you disappear forever. The work that we're doing in Google My Business has what we call an evergreen effect. If you do work, you might rank in Google for 6 months a year. You might rank forever. You may have to do some things over time, but you get a lot more out of it. And the things that we're talking about here, whether you're doing paid search or organic, getting your website ready, getting good content, that's going to help you no matter what. So I really strongly recommend, you can write a check and just bail out of this webinar, but you're going to miss a lot of the organic stuff that we're going to focus on. Excuse me. All right. So if you're really serious about this, oh, I see Murphy. Was that Murphy's question?
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Feel free to stop me anytime here. Otherwise, I'm just going to drone on. I really like to start with a spreadsheet. It's really the most just kind of rudimentary way to do it. So I've got a grid here. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns, and I've got 3 rows. And as I'm doing my research, I like to find, like, I call them stem phrases. So um, a stem phrase might be widget designer, right? That's my stem phrase. But let's just say expert widget designers near me, best, affordable, free. There's like all these kind of like phrases that are really close to it. So what I like to do is I like to put the core phrase, pick the best phrase that you think is not too generic, but is kind of like niched down enough that you can put as the main concept on your homepage. Okay. Now, what you want to do is create this sheet, and as you're seeing the sub phrases like best widget designers Cape Cod, I will put headings on my webpage that have those phrases in them, right? So let's just say, and if you're not familiar with a heading, I can actually show you, but depending on your platform, when you're putting text on a page, it will say, what is this? Is it a heading 1, which is the most significant heading on a page, and you should only have one H1? Or is this an H2, an H3, an H4? And kind of like think of a table of contents, like the words table of contents are your H1, and then you've got like a subtopic, subtopic, subtopic. So each step down you go is like that number increases. So it's H1, H2, H3. You can have multiple H2s, multiple H3s on your page. I don't think you need to go beyond. Personally, I would start with one heading and then just do the rest H2s down your page. So if I find, let's say I find like 6 phrases that I think are related to Widget Designs Cape Cod, I'm going to set up my webpage, put that text in there, and I'm going to talk about it. And then I'm going to have headings down the page. We design widgets in all shapes and sizes. So I'm going to start to take those other key phrases that I found here, and I'm going to mix them up on my page, and I'm going to talk about them. I'm going to add images. And when you add an image to your web page, you can put an alt tag behind it and describe that image for someone that cannot read and has a screen reader. It will actually read it to them. But Google uses that information, right? So what this is doing is we're going to see in a minute, and then we're kind of took a little detour here. When you start interacting with Google My Business, you want your website and Google My Business to match. So it's really important to set up the spreadsheet and to get your website ready to impress your visitors, but to also tell Google, I'm really serious about these things that I'm doing, and I'm going to make them really prominent on my webpage. A really easy thing to do is to create, if you're struggling with content, I always say put your marketing content up front, convert that visitor into a buyer, right? Or to sign up for something or to donate or whatever you're doing. At the bottom, it's really easy to do an FAQ, right? Taking those key phrases from Google and being like, do you design widgets beyond Cape Cod? No, we we use material that comes from Cape Cod. We specialize in here, and we do have shipping options available, but blah blah blah. So you can use that frequently asked questions to kind of tell you're basically agreeing with Google My Business that you do these things that you want to be found for. Okay.
Okay,
And then
David,
eventually, your next best phrase, think of the next concept. You're going to create subpages, right? So you're going to end up with, this is going to be an exercise that you're going to do over several months. Don't stress about it. Get your homepage set up with the right phrases, and then think about maybe blog posts or other pages on your site. So if you're a kitchen designer, right, I'll go back to that example. You're going to have a page about bathrooms, bathroom remodeling, bathroom design, right? So you're going to want to split these pages out into what we call silos or logical concepts. And then you're going to end up with a really robust website that not only trains Google what you do, but it's going to help your visitor like, oh, they do bathrooms, not just kitchens. Let me see a little bit more about this information.
two
All right,
questions. One is,
go ahead.
can you send them a blank format?
I have a blank spreadsheet I can send to you.
Okay, and the other one is, how do you get to this page?
This is just a screenshot. I can send you I have an actual spreadsheet that we can send out after the webinar. Does that answer your question?
It says, how do you get to this page in Google? Is it called Google Keyword Planner?
Oh, so you can just come and say, I literally just come and say Google. Can you see my screen okay?
Yep.
I'll just say Google Keyword Planner. It'll be right here. Just click on it. They call it Google Ads today. So I'll just pick a customer here. I don't know. I've got multiple clients, so I use this all the time. Once you get in here, you can come up and you can say, oh, they changed everything again. You can, is it? So this might look a little different for you. What you want to find is, okay, so now they call it audience keywords and content. So I can come in here. Hold on a second. Let me try a different. So you know, as they always do, they have changed the let me come back to this. I can do a little demo. It looks like they've changed it around, unfortunately. Um Your keyword research is going to take you probably a couple hours. I could do a whole presentation right on that. Well, let's keep going. So our postcard comes in, it's got a code on it. It's going to tell you what to do. You go back, you enter the code, and it's going to say, all right, now we've got all kinds of cool stuff you can do now that you've been verified. I really recommend, I mean, we could spend a whole day on this. I'm going to go over some of the important things. You can go to business.google.com to get back into it. And when you do that, it may actually redirect you to something that looks completely different. There's no rhyme or reason to it, but eventually you're going to get a screen that shows you these options. So edit your profile, read reviews. You can have people send you messages on right through your profile. I don't recommend it. They're going to ask you a million questions you already have on your website. I personally have just found it to be a waste of time. You can add photos. You can see how many times you appear in search. You can add products. It's all kinds of stuff that you can do. And I recommend you click through every option and feed Google as much information as you can. And you want to think about the services that you're doing. Always bring everything back to the services that you want to be found for in the maps. Really important. One of the first things you want to do is click on Edit Services. And if you remember, we added a main category, and the categories are kind of limited. It's going to give you some secondary categories here. So let's just say you want to think about, you know, so go back to the kitchen cabinet company example. Like, what's more important to your visitor? Do they want to find a remodeler or do they want to find a showroom first, right? And that's kind of, you know, or maybe small projects lead to big projects, right? So you want to think about how do you capture the attention of that visitor or that searcher right away with the main categories. And then you can come in and you can actually add a custom service. So if I'm a kitchen remodeler and I've got a kitchen showroom, I might definitely add bathroom design. And then start to think about like the buzzwords that your customers use. So like I know, for example, like primary bathroom is a new phrase that people use as opposed to master bathroom. So maybe you want to put both in there. Maybe you want to add a customer service, primary bathroom design, and you talk about, you know, you just give Google a few sentences about what is the intricacies of this particular service. And I would do that over and over and over. You don't want to completely saturate it. You don't want to be spammy. We design primary bathrooms for people who need primary bathrooms designed. That's just nonsense, right? So you want to be really specific. Just mention the service in the title and mention it once in your description. Don't go overboard with it. That's enough. You're going to have to add a description. I recommend throwing in a couple of your top key phrases or your top services. Don't overdo it. You've got 750 characters. Put as much as you can in there that will add value. Probably no one's going to read this, but Google's going to love it. And another thing I recommend you do at this point is, and this is really helpful, if the keyword research is too much for you, which it is, it keyword research is intense. You can literally go to the Google search screen and start to type in your service. And this is what they call auto suggest here on the right, or um, trending searches show up in here. You can find, this is also going to show what people related to that key phrase are typing in. You can get some really good things in here that may not be in the AdWords, because remember, AdWords is going back 1 year, right? So a term that was popular a year ago may not be popular now, or something new is out there. I really recommend you do both. This is going to give you a nice little window into what people are searching for so that you can take the right information and put it into your business description and your services. A great description, I'm not, as you know, um, is really important. The thing, I don't want to use the word annoying because I try to be a positive person, but you're going to notice you'll put in a description and then Google will just show whatever it wants, right? Um, Someone might type in, you know, marble installation, kitchen or countertop marble installation, and you have a blog post about it. It might show, but you don't have services or phrases or nothing. Maybe you have a vendor or whatever, or you've written about a topic. It may actually show where the description is, and when someone's searching, it might actually say website mentions kitchen marble, right? And you're like, I don't know why I'm showing up, but it's really gonna look at everything that you feed it and everything on your website, and it may change what you put in there slightly, so don't get alarmed by that. So you go to your dashboard, you click info, you click add your description, and I max everything out that you can. Again, don't stuff words in there that are nonsense. Spend a little bit of time writing it, so that it sounds nice and is helpful. So some tips and tricks as we're going through our description, especially, and even the services, right? Be authentic, tell the story of your business. Um, Maybe you can put like your mission statement, or um a little piece of your history, right? So you want to think about, like, we're going to talk about how to optimize. We're talking about how to optimize Google My Business, but let's just say someone saw a social media ad or they just found you for the first time. You've got 750 characters to kind of give them a flavor of who you are and what you're doing. This is like a big sales point to you. A lot of people are going to look at this, so think about what you put in there. Um, Supposedly, this doesn't have an impact on where you come up in ranking, but we really don't know for sure. So you want to make sure it's really good. Next thing that I really want to implore you to think about is your photos. Google loves photos, right? And let's be honest, if you're going to a restaurant for the first time and they show you the photos and you can see like the dishes or the drinks or whatever it is, um, you really get an idea of what that business, you really get a better insight into that business. So think about taking really good photos. Um, I always recommend you hire a photographer. I know that's cost prohibitive for a lot of folks. A lot of the newer phones take great photos. If you're not a photographer and you're not hiring one and you're taking your photos, just be really conscious about like what's in the background of a photo, right? So like my family we own a bakery in Dennisport, and we make this really cool food, but directly behind it is a mixer that's absolutely devastated in flour, and there's bags of flour on the floor, right? So if you're taking that picture, like, okay, we don't want to show the customers like it's an explosion making something. If you've ever cooked or made something, like, you want to think about how you frame that photo, which a photographer will do, so that there's no trash cans in the background. If you're doing remodeling, there's not a drill on the counter. Like, you don't want to take a picture. I've seen this so many times, like a carpenter goes and takes a picture, or a project manager or something, and there's a drill on the counter. And I'm like, I really don't want to show a picture of a drill on someone's brand new counter, right? So this is really important. This is your marketing opportunity here to put in the right photos. Um, it's going to ask you for all different kinds of photos. So team photos, interior photos, exterior photos, your logo, pictures of your office, pictures of you delivering your service, right? This is going to be a really big thing for you. Um, Dale, I have no photos. I can't take pictures. I have no budget. What do I do? Well, last case scenario, you could go to something like I'm gonna take this off of the record as soon as I say it. You can't go to Google and just type in photos. Like you can't go to Google Images and say like I can't just come here and say, people having a meeting, right? I can't just come in here. And by the way, this is always dangerous doing live searches on a webinar. You can't just come in here and take this photo. This is going to be copywritten. There are copyright-free sites, so Pexels, Pixabay, Unsplash. You could type in people having a meeting. And of course, this is going to, or actually people's too generic. Let's just say, or maybe we could just type in business people. Maybe you've got an insurance company or something. I don't know. Type in whatever you want. These photos are okay. They work. Um, they're copyright free, so you can use them. They do look kind of staged, right? It's not going to be of your business, but like, worst case scenario, you can kind of pick off some of these that look somewhat realistic and use them. It's not going to be your best case scenario. It may or may not be better than putting nothing in. You're going to have to figure that out depending on your business. How are we doing with questions?
I think we're gonna get bounced out pretty soon. What time is it over?
My calendar said 11, so
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty close to the end. Um, I don't know. So I'm gonna zip through the rest here because I want to be conscious if you had my calendar said 9 to 11. So I'll stick around after, but I'll zip through the rest. We're not going to dive into this, but there are going to be um, resolutions and sizes of photos that work really well with Google My Business. You want to think about a phone. How is a picture on the desktop going to look versus a phone? And I did skip over this. You can use this tool here, GeoImager. This is a really cool tool. You can put in your geographical coordinates, um, latitude, longitude, upload a photo, and it will embed it in that photo. That does help some of the platforms. Google says they don't use it, but a lot of people say differently. It helps Google kind of authenticate that that photo is related to Cape Cod, for example. If you're doing them on your cell phone and your location is on, you don't have to worry about that. But if a photographer takes them and they're not embedded, this is a great tool to do that. And I'm not going to dive into that right now. Um, Google allows you to ask questions, right? So if I go to, I'm just going to type in Cape Space Hyannis again. If I click on Q&A, as an owner, I can actually ask my own questions and I can answer them. So maybe someone asks me all the time, can I just drop in and get a conference room for a Zoom call? So you can click that, you can add that question, and then you can actually go back and answer it. Um, Obviously, it's more authentic if someone else asks it, but it doesn't matter as long as if they're asking and if they're asking the question, it will show up in the Q&A. That's really helpful for a visitor. I really, really recommend you do it, and I really recommend you put in think of all the services that you do and add them in there because that's just even more. That's more like legitimacy with Google that you're related to that service, right? Reviews hugely, hugely, hugely helpful. I can't tell you if I know probably there aren't a ton of us here that like Amazon or we try to shop local. Sometimes it is inevitable. How do we buy things? A lot of times you do it by ratings. If you've got one 3-star product and you've got one that has several hundred and it's 4.4, where are you mentally going to purchase that product? It's no different for reviews, right? And I've got a little script here. If you are having trouble getting reviews, so there's a product called Nice Job, which you can set up. It's like 75 a month. Um, you literally just feed it your customers' information and it will email them and give them the links and it will do, kind of goes on autopilot. If your business is a little bit more personal, and I always use like, if you're a divorce attorney, no one wants to come out and say how great your divorce was and how it was working with this attorney. It's like it's kind of a confidential thing, right? So for some of us, this is a hard thing to get. So what I recommend you do is create an online survey and you send it to them. Really basic. How do we do? What do you have for recommendation? How did we do 1 through 10? Do you have any recommendations? Um, do you have any referrals for us that we could use? Whatever, something really basic. And if they do say that you were great, you can send them a nice little follow-up email that says, "Good morning." And I put Jim's name in here because he's been my buddy, Susan, for so long. You could say, like, "Can I ask you for a favor?" Sir, you ask someone for a favor, you ask someone for help, you're going to get more um, out of it. I want to thank you for taking the time to send the survey. I was wondering if you could leave us a review. Um, and the way you would want to do that is if you look at this, right, in the business listing, there's a button that says ask for reviews. You can just copy this and stick it in your email and send it off. Say, my business really relies on having great reviews. It would be amazing if you would leave a review for me. And sometimes what I will do is I will take the survey and I will say, here's some things that you said in the survey that might help you with your review, because people don't know what to say in reviews. So if you can give them that information, that's going to help you. You can do posts in Google My Business, right? They call it something different now. I think it's called update. They change it back and forth. You can add an offer, right? It will show up down here if someone Googles your name. So in an update, I can post a video or a photo. If I'm like a landscaper or something seasonal, I am absolutely going to say, right now we're doing spring cleanups. Does your yard look, we're going to take your yard from this to this. There's so many ways that you can do this. Are you going to get a ton of business from this? Maybe no, maybe not, but it's going to help the search algorithm in the maps. If you're doing about landscaping cleanups and you've done all these other things, this is one more checkbox to help you get found that you weren't checking before. Um, Really close. One other thing, the Insights tab. So I don't have time to go through every single tab, but I really, really, really highly recommend. They call it Performance Today. Um, it will tell you how many interactions you've had over a time period, how many calls. Um, you can actually do bookings right through Google My Business, how many people click to your website, how many people ask for directions. You can kind of see over time. So like obviously, this is a popular business. Don't expect to get 4,500 interactions, but it's going to break it down for you. What are people using? What did they type in for search? It'll tell you how many views each photo gets. You're going to use that information. Sorry, I lost track here. You're going to use that information to understand this is what people want to see. I'm going to feed more of this back into Google My Business. Okay. Last important thing, and I know we may or may not be running over. I don't see the participants dropping, so I think we're good here. Um, you need to track and measure. If you want to get serious about getting found in Google, um, you need to track and measure your effectiveness. So I personally use, and I remember before, I don't recommend you start searching and see where you come up every day. That's not a real systematic way. I use this program called SE Ranking. I think it starts at like $40 a month. It's really good. You can do daily or weekly checks, and it will actually tell you um, where you're ranking, right? So I can look here. This is also dangerous to show the rankings, right? So we've got a lot of number one positions here. And really, this is coming down to what I gave you today, I follow for all of my clients. There's not much I really held back that can get you to this point. But I can click on this, right? And I can actually see the tool will do a blind search with Google, and it will actually show me the results that came up in the search. I can see the regular results, I can see the maps. I can see who's advertising, right? So Regis is they're not even on Cape. I don't know why they advertise here, but I can start to get a really great idea. of where I'm being shown to searchers for a particular phrase. And I can also set my location. So I'm going to set it to Hyannis. It obviously will fade out as we go on, but I really like this. So this is showing me day to day, and I can go back a year from now. Where was I a year from now? So what I really recommend you do with this is kind of keep track of what you're doing with your Google My Business. And if you see something jump up or come down, you can go back and say, okay, well, I added those three services and then my rankings kind of went down a little bit. Where my business listing came up in maps kind of came down a little bit, so I'm going to delete those services and see what happens, see if I come back. What I don't recommend is that you hyper focus on this, stress out. You're going to see things go from like 1 to 10 to 1 day to day. Really look at it over the course of a week or a month. And kind of like make really conscious decisions about how you can continually feed data to Google, adding new pictures, um, adding new updates, um, tweaking your services. Maybe you come back 6 months from now and you look at your services and you're like, you know what, my business has kind of changed a little bit. I'm going to update some of these services. And, I don't expect this to be, I'm not trying to make this a full-time job for you. I think in the beginning, you're going to spend a full day on it. It may be an hour or two a month. You can go in and add some pictures, do some updates, um, et cetera, et cetera. Last thing I'm going to show you is called citations. It's not usually enough for you just to tell Google what you're doing and have a website. You want to create, so hold on, so I'm going to type in top 100 citations for local Google app searches, right? And I can send you this link too if you want. So you'll see a lot of people offer this as a service. They'll go and create them for you. You can do it on your own. So this is top 100 citations for local SEO. All right, so there are services out there that will do it for you. Okay, so here LinkedIn's got a little article here. What does this mean? This means if I go to Yellow Pages, even though it's not really used anymore, and I create a profile, I'm going to use my name, my address, my phone number, and a link to my website and some pictures, and I really make this a robust profile, and I get verified with Yellow Pages, which I think basically means you just approve an email. Google's going to say, all right, I trust you. This is a reputable source. It has mentioned you. I trust you even more now. I have clients I've created 1,000 citations for, right? So if you're a divorce attorney or even kitchen design, or you're in Boston, you've got an immense amount of competition. You can come in here and you can create. So Google My Business is the top. We've already done that. So that's one citation. I don't care for Yelp. I would skip it. Facebook. If you have a Facebook business page, make sure your name, your address, your phone number, link to your website over and over and over and over and over down this list of 100 places. Anybody can set these up. If you have a, okay, so here's a checklist. Oh, actually, they're trying to sell us something. I'll try and find you a better list out there. But the more of these lists that you can get your business on, Google's just going to trust you more and more and more. I would say 7 out of 10 businesses are going to see results just with adding the Google business profile. From there, you're going to have to create these citations or these mentions of your website. And then the last thing you're going to want to do is go to all your affiliations, sponsorship, anything you sponsor, Chamber of Commerce, you have a membership, you're in some governing body of your industry. Make sure you have your name, your address, your phone number, and a link to your website on their page with a description about your business. Put photos there if you can, and that link coming to your website. So like if you're part of the Hyannis Chamber and you have a profile with them, and they're linking to you, Google knows the Hyannis Chamber has been around forever. They trust them. They're a legitimate source. If they're linking to you, they're saying, I trust this person even more. And if you're talking about your, excuse me, the services on your Hyannis Chamber page that you do, that's going to equate those searches and maps even more to you. All right. So I'll give you a second to kind of take that in. Um, oh, here they are. Here's the here are the links. So I can send a copy of the presentation too. So I want to back up. We just went through an hour and 10 minutes of like dumping on you, which I apologize. This is a lot here. So Google gives us a way to get found in Google Maps. They give us this thing called Google My Business. You need to get verified. You need to demonstrate that you're actually at that address via a postcard. Sometimes they'll do a phone number. And then you want to just give Google every opportunity to understand what you do. That's how you're going to, in theory, rank higher than other people in those maps results. It's definitely an art and a science. There will be times that you're like, why the heck is this person coming up? Like, I just don't get it. That can happen from time to time. Just keep going through the process, add more photos, change your services, right? Get a third party tool and make sure that you're actually not coming up. Go to the Google My Business. What do they call it now? The insights or the performance, right? Forgot where it is somewhere here. Look at your performance. What key phrases am I coming up for, right? If you type in something and you're not coming up, but you look in here and it says that 100 people found you, like 100 people found you, they may have been out of your area. Google may have just thought that that was more personalized to them. Just keep going through this process and, eventually you will rank and you will get business from it. I'm done.
Okay, I have
Questions?
a couple of questions. If you're looking,
Excuse me.
you're looking for competition on Google and it helps them with the rankings, what's the workaround?
I'm sorry, say that again.
If you're looking for your competition on Google and that helps them with the hits, then what's the workaround?
Couple things. So, SE ranking will actually let me look at competitors. Um, and again, that will do a blind search. Um, it'll show you where you rank compared to the competitors. And you can do it that way. Another way is you can go incognito. Um, or you can use a search engine you can use DuckDuckGo will also help a little bit. But I would say um, if you're really worried about your competition, getting a tool like SE Ranking is going to show me who's coming up. It's going to give you a better answer. And you know what? Again, like you don't have to have it forever. Maybe you use it for a couple months, and if you're not getting $40 worth of value, you cancel it. Right? I never do yearly subscriptions. I would always recommend a monthly subscription. You're going to pay a little bit more. Check it out. If it's not for you, there are other platforms out there. Bright Local is another one. Bright Local will actually help you build your citations, right? Those mentions of your business. They do it pretty low cost. I think it's $2 a piece. If you do, 30, 40 of them, it's less than $100. Might be $3 a piece now. They've got, this is really the beginning of your journey. They've got video courses. There's so much to learn. YouTube has a ton of information. I wouldn't be afraid, like, through your journey, you're gonna have a lot of questions. Um, Keep Googling, keep YouTubing it, and you're gonna see different opinions. You're gonna find people who have had breakthroughs. You're gonna find different ways to get this done.
Okay, if you have Google My Business set up, should it always come up locally when someone uses a search quote near me?
Um, I have a bit. No, because it- Go, just because you create a Google business profile and you have it verified, it doesn't mean that Google trusts you or that um, it thinks you're relevant to the search. So I'm going to give you a really crazy scenario that actually happens. I'm a scammer in overseas. I create a fake business. Um, I create a fake business and on my website I take deposits. Like let's just say I'm the landscaper. Hey, I do cleanups, $99, pay here. You know, this is usually $4.99. I'm doing it for $99 a spring only, 7 days. And then they get the postcard sent to some other business. And then they send them an email. Oh man, I set up this Google business listing and I had this postcard come to you. Like, did you get a postcard with my business name on it? I sent it to the wrong address. Would you mind giving me the code? And people will do it. They're like, oh yeah, I got your postcard. Here's your code. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'll straighten this out. Next thing you know, they've got a verified business and they're scamming people. I mean, I don't know if you've ever been scammed before. I've come really close a lot of times. I've been scammed a few times. These people are out there doing this. So like adding as much as you can, you got to do all these other things or you're really not going to show up. If you're a heart surgeon and you're in Hyannis and you have a business listing and like the Cape Cod Times is written about you and Four Seas had you speak and like you've got all these things going on and people are linking to you, you're probably going to come up without doing anything, right? The rest of us, we don't, I'm not, downgrading anyone's business. We don't have that luxury. Like we got to work hard to make Google trust us. So I hope that helps.
For photos, can I use photo listing in Canva in Google Business?
Yeah, I use Canva a lot too. I'm pretty sure the Canva photos are copyright free. I would just double check. I think they're actually just pulling in photos from Pexels or Pixabay. But another thing you can do, like, um, I always do things in squares because I'll try and repurpose them to social media. So when I come into Canva, I'll do a square 1080 by 1080. And if I go to elements and I'm just going to type in business people having meeting, right? I'll go to the photos and let's just say I might take this photo. Of course, it's the wrong aspect. This is another little trick I do. You can have a photo and then maybe you put an element over it, like, something like this, and then I'll lighten it. And then I might put some text over it. Maybe put your logo, this little thing I'm working on here. I might put the logo down in the corner. This is just a project I'm working on. And then maybe I put some text here, right? Now what I've done is I've taken just a generic photo and I've kind of made it really particular to my business. I would say if you're going to do something like this, make it look nice, make it, this tells someone that you put some effort into it and it trusts you more than just a copywritten photo. I hope that helps.
Okay, a question about the hours again. Is there a way to put in like emergency hours different from the regular hours?
Yes, absolutely. It's a great question. If you put in, and you'll notice too, sometimes it'll say, hey, Memorial Day's coming up. Are you going to be open? Um, you can say I'm closed on that one day. So if I go here, so let's just go through this really quick. So I'm going to do business, Google. Google actually wants you now to put in your business name and edit it from here. I don't know why, like, I don't know why we can't just go here. I think it's probably just going to bounce us back. Let me check real quick. So these are all the listings I manage, or my team manages, our team manages. So if I go to, what does this button do? Okay, yeah, so I can click the pencil. So still, for some reason, they did change their mind about me coming in this way. So I can change it and I can click hours. And then there's a section for special hours. But you got to do it day by day, which is kind of annoying. Actually, what's this now? Might be able to do it down here. Oh yeah, so this is good. So maybe like there's a Thai place near me I love. They're open from like 11 to 2 and then 4 to like whatever. I think you can do that here. Or you can set just delivery hours, right? So it looks like they've changed that. I haven't really used that much, but it looks like they're going to allow you to do that.
Okay, can you change the picture that GMB is showing of the outside of your office building? The one they're showing is not as nice looking for my office, but I can't seem to change it.
Yeah. So you have control over this photo, but if I click on this listing to learn more, the business will have control over these photos, but not this one. This is that little car that drives by. Oh, what is this? Alexander? So maybe this might be user submitted. It is a user submitted photo. I know what you're saying. Okay, so this is so we have control. This uh, a Google user updated this. By the way, you can flag the images. If someone uploads the photo, you can flag it. And I would do like you can do poor quality. You can say privacy concern. Like usually, if you do privacy concern, maybe there's a house somewhere nearby or whatever. You can argue that like, hey, that's a private home, and they asked me to take it down. This you gotta kind of be creative here. But what you can't change is, I think what you're asking is the street view, which is this little one here. Um, you can't change this. That's going to be actually, I think yeah, it's on, well, that's weird. It's on the other side of the street. It won't change this. And sometimes it will show this as your thumbnail. What you can do is upload better outside. So if it's showing that picture by default, that outside one, take a better outside picture and upload it to the category. Where is it here? Sorry, there's so many zoom controls in the way. Where is it? Um, keep space. If I do see profile, yeah, it's gonna kick me back here for this. If I do add photo, I do photo. Um, it should, I don't want to upload a photo, but it should ask me is what category is this photo, interior, exterior team, delivering a service, etc. Upload better exterior photos. It could replace it. However, if you click on the map section here, in this little street view, it's not, you can't change that. So I hope that helps. And again, I hate, reiterate, like I'm showing you this right now, it could be completely different for you.
How do we password protect our Google My Business site?
Um, so your, okay, so there's two possible scenarios here. I don't have a lot of um experience with the Google business sites, meaning you can create a website. Um, if you're searching, if you're talking about your Google business listing, only the account that created the listing or someone who's been delegated by that account can change it. However, anybody can come through and make a suggestion. And I see this a lot. I see competitors come in, they'll make a suggestion. Oh, so this one wants me to actually request access. Sometimes you can go in and make a suggestion. Like I have this happen before. Oh, I'm sorry, I clicked on the wrong thing. If you can, anybody can click on suggest and edit, and you can say this place is closed. Google will send you an email, and if you don't respond to it, they'll say closed, right? Um, I can suggest edits like I can change it. Maybe I went there and they weren't open. I could say, no, 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 they're not open at 11. They weren't open. They were closed. So you kind of got to be on your game a little bit with the information you put here. Um, so other than suggestions, no one can come in and edit this part unless you are the account that you set it up with, or there's a way you can come in. I'm not going to go through it right now, but you can come in if you do profile settings and then people and access. You can designate the people that can make changes to that account.
Okay, Sarah wrote that she never got a postcard. It was a phone call, but she still got verified. So maybe that's a new
Count
way.
yourself lucky. That's great.
Right. Okay.
That's a huge win. I can't, I think if I haven't said it enough, you make sure you have a lease, you have a utility bill, you have something, at least two pieces of information that have your name, your address, and your phone number, and they match this information, have it with you at all times. They can come back and say, hey, you've been flagged for review. We want these things. You got to send it like right away and be adamant about it. Like, I don't understand why this is happening. I've invested a lot of time in this service and my business depends on it now. This is my information. Please help me get this back up as soon as possible. Don't be rude. Don't be annoying. Be assertive. Ask for help. Present the information. Present the information supporting that you are an actual business at this location.
Was that the question about if you enter a post office box?
No, I'm just
Oh,
giving
this,
some
sorry, this
wisdom.
is if you enter a post office box for an address, does that hinder your search results?
It may not let you set up a profile at all because you can't interact with people at a post office. Even though you can have a business like, so I've got one business, they do dumpsters, like you want to clean out your basement, you get a dumpster delivered. This like obviously doesn't want people showing up at his dumpster yard, right? It doesn't make sense, but he still needs to have a commercial address. So the PO box you may not get through. And if you're in a town like Truro, or what's the other one? There's another town that they don't have mail delivery. Even the commercial businesses have to go. You're gonna have to go to your postmaster or whoever's in charge and say, hey, I need this postcard delivered to this specific address. How do I do it? That can be a pain.
Okay, this is a question twice, which I guess I better ask because I missed it. Is this profile on Google the same thing as Google My Business? Is there a lag on the postcard or call? I've not gotten either.
Um, you gotta just if you don't get the postcard, you guys just go in and request another one.
Okay.
It takes 2 or 3 times, I'd say on average.
What's the lag time usually? Do you know?
5 days,
Okay. And is
business
the
days.
profile on Google the same thing as Google My Business?
Yes. Yep. They'll be used interchangeably, and they're likely to change the name again.
Okay. So here's a question that we might not be able to answer. Not there. Oops. Are we just off?
I just took the screen off, yeah.
Okay.
Second. There's too many controls in the way. I can't see what's going on.
Okay, and I want to remind everybody that we also will send out a poll to get some feedback about your about the webinar. So might be too specific. She's a therapist, or I assume it's a
Yep.
she, and it's considered potentially unethical to solicit reviews from patients and a potential HIPAA violation. So it confirms that the person has been treated. Is there a way to get reviews ethically? And
I don't.
maybe, yeah, I don't know, we know that.
So the question is, I don't know. Um, I can't answer that because I'm fortunately I'm not, or maybe I should say fortunately, I'm not a therapist. Greatly appreciate what you do. Um, I'm just doing a quick search here, and it does look like not a lot of people have reviews, so maybe that's a thing in your industry. Um,
Yeah,
I don't know how to do that. I think you might be able to turn the reviews off completely, which I'd probably do. And as I'm looking here, I'm doing some research. It doesn't look like it looks like probably what you're saying is kind of common. So, I would,
I would think you could do things with initials. You wouldn't put the person's name.
well, if you leave a review, it's going to say the person's name.
It has to. You can't,
Y- Yeah, well, whatever in their Google account is.
so it won't post it
Yeah,
otherwise.
so now I'm paranoid. So I'm gonna get out of here. 'Cause I don't want this to be on the webinar. If someone leaves a review, let's go to reviews, scroll down. Whatever the name is on that Google account, it's public information. There's nothing you can do about it. You can't hide it. You can't give a non-logged in review anymore. You have to be logged in as yourself. And I can see everything that this person's done on every other profile. So, there's like a certain level of like transparency, I guess. So I don't know. I think you'd be stuck. I would try and turn it off. Probably would that's where I would start.
Okay.
Which is hard because, that's a big differentiator for you. So I don't know what you would do, and that I have not been in that situation before.
Okay. So two more questions. My photos don't show up. Do I need to wait for the postcard and approval before my photos will appear?
Absolutely nothing will appear until you get the postcard verified.
Right.
It'll appear for you, but it won't appear for other people.
Okay. And this is for you. Can you assist me with web page design for my business and help with optimization?
Yeah, I'd say, you'd want to reach out to a score mentor first, reach out to Susan. I'm a volunteer. I don't solicit business as part of these webinars. I'm donating time. Um, you feel free to jump in anytime here, Susan, but it's kind of like I think you would want to reach out, get a mentor, get some help that way to get in the right area. Then if you're like, this person has to do it, that's a different story. But there's some ethical kind of stuff there for us.
Right.
I could
And
give you three names too. I'd be happy to.
I think so. When it gets to be that specific, we mentor on issues, but then if it's something real, we don't do a design consultation in any way.
I would say, reach out at the end of this and we'll get you to, multiple people that can help in the right way. I think is probably a good way to answer that.
Okay. Okay. Did I miss any other questions? I don't.
So someone did ask a good question here. Is Google Guaranteed beneficial? Absolutely. However, Google Guaranteed is a little different. Um, if I type in, I'm going to type in modeling contractors. So first of all, Google Guaranteed, for those that don't know, um, you have to get verified by Google. There's a process you go through, like they check insurance and other things, and you show up in the special section. Only certain industries are allowed, and in only certain markets. So, like, um, I know kitchen design, for example, is not a thing, I think, on Cape Cod, but in certain Boston areas, they will allow it. So it's like it's a new thing they're rolling out. And basically, if I hire this company and I'm not happy, Google will guarantee a certain amount of money back. Um, what's happening here is this person was verified by Google, which comes with the guarantee, but they're going to pay to be, I don't know if they're paid to display here or paid to be clicked on. So you need a really good business listing and you have to pay for these results. But if you look, it does come above everything else, which is nice. I have people that have done great with it, absolutely great. But again, it's not available in all areas for all industries.
Somebody wants to know your name.
My name is Dale Shadbejian, and I will I'll give if you want, Susan can give
I just put it in. I put your
okay, yeah, or I can give you my LinkedIn too if you want to connect there. I like hearing from people every once in a while. I'll be like, oh, I took your webinar and I had some questions, or I benefit from it, or I just gave up, it was too much, or I hired someone. Like, it's nice to hear where people go. I mean, this isn't for everyone. This is you're going, this is a great service that's available. Um, you're definitely taking a step forward out of your, the norm of normal business. So I commend you for trying. And I just keep saying, like, don't be discouraged.
Just a couple of closing things. Thank you all for hanging in there. There's still 42 of you on that we see, so thank you very much. Just want to remind you that SCORE has a national website, www.score.org, which is a tremendous repository of resources. You can have other webinars, you can do workshops. There's just a million things that you can do. And we appreciate you being on this webinar. And I'm going to send out the poll. So if you want to give us some feedback, we would appreciate that. Thank you very much, Dale. You have any other final comments?
I don't. I wish you well in your journey and scores here if you need anything else. And I'm so sorry. I know there's so much to cover. Like we could spend a whole day on this. Just don't stress. Like think about the concepts, dig in, like take it in chapters.
Okey doke. Thank you very much, everybody. Here comes the poll.
Bye, everyone. Thank you. Have a great day. Oh, do I have to leave the poll open? I mean, do I have to leave the webinar open since I started it?
I don't think so. I think you can hang up now.
Okay.
Thank
All
you very
right.
much for helping me.
Signing off. Bye.
Bye-bye.